My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
That intro always brings me a smile. I love that. Welcome, everyone, to Talking Tennis, Day 10, which is the start of the quarterfinals. I am Anthony Rivera, correspondent on the East Coast of the United States for Talking Tennis. I got great panelists that I'm going to get to shortly. I just want to make sure everyone knows that to stay tuned with all of the coverage from Talking Tennis, interviews with Amy Lundy, Coach Mert Ertunga, and Hall of Fame tennis journalist Steve Flink. There's previews for the Australian Open, almost every single match out there, and watch-alongs for Zverev and Paul, Sabalenka, and Pavlyuchenkova, as well as Alcaraz and Djokovic, which is coming up tonight. So make sure you're tuned in and get all of your coverage from Talking Tennis. Well, everybody, like I said, quarterfinals is here. I got Rachel James here, Talking Tennis correspondent, as well as Juan Jose, who is the co-founder of The Changeover. How are everybody doing tonight?
We're good, thank you.
We're just 1 hour away from these big matches coming up in the quarterfinal, and there's a lot of topics to talk about. I want to get into first Iga Swiatek and the doping clearance, because now WADA has decided not to appeal against the 1 month doping, I guess, suspension that she had for, I think the substance was trimetazine, TMZ. So I want to know your thoughts on this whole situation. I know that she served her suspension kind of in two segments here. First part in September, October, and then the last remaining part in November, December. So I'll start off with Juan Jose. What are your thoughts on this whole situation, how it was handled? And, what do you think now for Iga now that she's cleared here?
Well, I think obviously the biggest thing is this is great for Iga. She gets to, put it behind her. This is a thing that now won't have any more repercussions, and she can just leave it in the past and move on. As I understand it, it was a pretty straightforward decision. The way everything is handled is always, let's just say strange in tennis.
Questionable, right?
Yes, tennis, anybody who's been around the sport should not be surprised by any of this stuff. It's just, it's always, tennis is a sport that portrays itself as being huge and everything, but really, if you get close to it, it's just all held together with string and some bubble gum, and people are making it up as they go along. It's just very, it's very unique. But I think my takeaway actually wasn't really so much about Swiatek. It was about Sinner, because that to me is the big thing. The WADA said, we're happy with this. This seems like it makes sense, the situation with Swiatek, documentation and everything. They're happy with it. They're not so happy with the Sinner thing, and they will have a hearing on it. So I think having the contrast between the two situations is what really sticks out to me.
What about you, Rachel? What are your thoughts on this whole situation with Iga and how she can bounce back from this doping ban?
Well, I mean, she served her ban. It was, proved that it was contamination by WADA. I mean, I don't think that she'll have to really try to bounce back, because, she's such a lovable player. Nobody really dislikes her. she's popular with many fans, and she's clearly back on form, getting into the quarterfinals of the AO. So I think she'll have no problem bouncing back, to be honest.
Her next matchup is a quarterfinal tomorrow against Emma Navarro. Coming into this match, Navarro has pretty much been taking it down the line. Every match has been a 3-set match here. You know, how tough is this going to be for both of these? You know, Iga now has all of this weight off of her shoulders. Emma is coming in, riding in hot. And, you know, this is going to be a tough battle for sure.
100%. I mean, Emma Navarro is having the time of her life, I think. She's playing the best tennis she's ever played. They've met once before. I think it was in 2018, so quite a while ago. And Swiatek won in straight sets. It's going to go to 3 sets. I don't think either player will win in straight sets. I honestly couldn't predict who is going to advance, though. It honestly could go either way.
What about for you, Jose?
I mean, Iga has been destroying people. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Emma Navarro beat her last time they played or something? Or am I confusing her with somebody else?
I'll have to double check. I off the top of my head, I don't remember. But I think that that maybe Iga had won. They only played, I think, once. So if I check in the head-to-head, yeah,
it's just once. Yeah, no, I was thinking about somebody else. Who did Emma Navarro beat? I forget. I think, you know, like you said, if Emma Navarro has been spending so much time on court, that tends to have an effect on people. And Iga has not. I mean, she's barely spent any time on court. She's barely lost any games. So I think it seems like one of those that Iga shouldn't, you know, steamroll. But I find her fascinating because, you know, she is obviously an all-time great, very likable, all of that. I always find it fascinating with her when things get tough in the middle of the match, and you sense in her that it could go either way. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm really intrigued. I would favor Iga, but you know, wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being one of those 3-setters where she loses the plot and Emma Navarro comes on top.
Now, next, I want to get into pretty much a fan favorite in the tennis world. Gael Monfils here. He had to bow out due to a back injury, and I think it was the 4th set against Ben Shelton. A great match. Each of the first 3 sets went into a tiebreak, so the fans got a good one here. And Gael Monfils coming off of taking care of business against Taylor Fritz and pulling off the upset. When you talk about Gael Monfils, and I'll start off with you, Juan Jose, you know, what are your thoughts on this run he had coming to an end here at the Australian Open? And then I'll go to Rachel as well.
So Monfils, I was grateful that you brought up the changeover when you introduced me, because I was remembering this week, and then my friend Owen, who, you know, all of you probably have seen on Twitter, he was telling me about this piece too. I remember writing that back in, you know, this was 2013, and everyone, you know, that's kind of the height of the Big Four era. You know, you had Federer, Djokovic, and all. Djokovic, you know, had done 2011, but hadn't done the 2015-16 thing yet. But Andy Murray was there, and it was this Big Four. And I remember writing this piece about how it should have been a Big Five, and for no real reason, actually, it's not. And it was a Big Five. The 5 that I was thinking, the 5th was Monfils, because this is a guy who, if you look at him, if you don't know anything about tennis, or you just look at him play for a while, you're thinking, there's nothing really this man can't do. He has great balance of forehand and backhand, great balance of serve and return, moves great, just can hit every shot, can play on any surface. Why isn't he an all-time great? And you know, the answer to that can be, who knows, right? You never know. But you see his career statistics, and for somebody who is that talented, we're looking at he. I'll ask you guys. You want to guess how many times he qualified for the year-end event, the World Tour Finals? Once. Once. He has 2 top 10 finishes in his career, 7 and 10. So he's been like there's that aspect, the talent, the expectations, and I would say a pretty objective underperformance of that. Then there's the human, and he will always be kind of special for me because my first press conference at a tournament in person was with him. It was a strange situation here at the Houston ATP event, which is a 250 that I don't think many tennis fans even are aware that it exists, worldwide tennis fans. It's a nice little event here in Houston, Texas, on the weird American clay that is not like the European red clay. And somehow Gael was here, which also is kind of strange because usually it's just the Americans that are here, because this is traditionally after Miami, between Miami and the clay season, the official clay season in Europe. But he was here, and it was so funny because in his first round, and he was the top seed, I think, he gets drawn with James Blake, who at that point was nearing the end of his career, but an American that I think got a wild card into the event. And obviously the tournament did not want those two to be in the first round, but they were, and it was a Monday match. So, Monday in a normal ATP 250 week in the tennis world, nobody's paying attention really worldwide. But here in Houston, it was sold out. It was huge. It was fun. And back then, the press section was very, very small. The press area, because they were moving it somewhere else. So it was kind of under the stadium, and it was this long, kind of narrow space. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember there not being a whole lot of seats. And I ended up sitting on the floor, not 15 inches from Monfils. And, everyone has talked about through the years of how everyone loves Gael. So no one has anything negative to say about him. He's just so gregarious, so happy. He always has a smile on his face. And beyond that, there's something about him in person, like the person of Gael Monfils, that he's just a very relaxed human being. And I think, bring it back to the run that he had. I saw a quote, and correct me if I'm wrong, that someone I think had asked him about, like, if he was this was his last chance at the dream of winning a slam or something.
Yep.
And that ties back to kind of the expectations that everybody had of him, because I think he won a few junior slams, and he was a highly rated athlete. I mean, prospect. He was supposed to be a great. And he responded something like, "My dream is to be old and have a bunch of kids and be healthy. That thing is the dream. Is that your dream?" And I think, that let me in. That lets everyone in on who he is as a person and what his priorities have been. And sure, maybe he hasn't had the fanatical, maniacal, blinders on that the all-time greats have had. But he's probably the most well-adjusted of them all, and is probably going to have a very happy post-career existence. He has his family. He's not going to be one of those guys where we're going to wonder, what the heck are they going to do? Like, I don't know what Djokovic is going to do when he retires. Who knows? So yeah, I would say that it was nice to see him kind of tie everything under a bow, and in true Monfils fashion, he retired in a match. Because the other thing about him is that for as much as he was physical specimen, just the speed, agility, elasticity, I used to remember joking that he was the person who looks more in shape that is less in shape. because he would be the classic Monfils would also be great first set, intense, great points. Everyone's going nuts. Goes to tiebreak. The set has lasted an hour and a half, hour 15, hour and a half. Next set is a breadstick or a bagel. It's just he could never get to that next step physically where he could hang with those who were talent-wise at his level. And that's kind of his legacy. I mean, everyone who was around this era of tennis will remember him. But obviously, he's not going to get into the Hall of Fame or anything. He's someone who never made a slam final, didn't win a Masters. But he's going to be the life of all those retired, the tours, the events that the retired players have. He's going to be an exhibition player, which is perfect for him. Because he can entertain everybody with all the things that he can do. So, I would say to those who haven't seen him, appreciate him while he's out there. Don't expect anything. Just enjoy the fun because he's enjoying it. So might as well, jump in.
Yeah, he made those comments right after, I think, beating Taylor Fritz, where they had asked him about, him not winning a title and him saying that it's most important for the family, just like you said. I think him and his wife, Alina Svitolina, have made a pretty good career for themselves in the tennis world. He's only made it to the quarterfinals at the Australian Open this year, 2016, 2022. French Open 2008, Wimbledon, the fourth round. As in the U.S. Open, he made it to, that's the farthest, semifinals in the U.S. Open in 2016. A couple of comments here in the chat. I'm hoping I'm saying this name correctly. Masage Kuzinski saying Monfils was too much of a showman and lacked consistency. And we all know of how he can show out for the crowd there and just seemed to have lacked some of that consistency. Ghost says Gail Monfils, according to Gail, apparently doesn't prioritize winning titles over having a good life, which is, I mean, you hope that, right? Like, for a lot of these players, tennis is a job, right? I know people, they love to play tennis and it's a part of their life, but at some point, especially when you're an aging star, that it becomes, just work. And he has built a life outside of that for himself. And, hopefully for him, he gets to continue to live the dream that he feels that he deserves and he's earned. Kren Boogie says, we should discuss the GOAT's genius strategy. Why waste energy here when he has to use his energy to lift the French Open trophy?
That's not happening. That would be so amazing. I mean, that would be incredible. Everyone thought that could happen at some point, and he did make the semis ages ago. And he wouldn't have had a chance because the year he made the semis was against Federer in 2008. Lost to Federer, and then Federer got absolutely demolished by 2008 Nadal, which Monfils had no chance. I mean, zero chance. But yeah, everyone thought that he was the next Yannick Noah, right? With the French there, and he's always beloved by the crowd. But no, it's not happening. It's really not. I mean, I hope everyone will be excited about it, but he did play at the French Open at the Olympics this year, and he lost in the first round, like winning 5 games. So, the thing with Monfils is he's happy. We're happy that he's happy. And he's played this long. He's 38. That's amazing. For somebody who, this will be like my last Monfils story, that not in person, but also classic Monfils. I remember watching a Madrid match when Madrid was on hard, indoor hard, so ages ago. It was an inconsequential early round match, and I don't even remember who Monfils was even playing, but was playing somebody who was doing, his thing. The big attack on Monfils was that he was pretty passive. Despite being able to hit any shot, he always, had this play style of kind of drifting backwards and chasing things because he could. And it was one of those where he was back behind the baseline, trying to play defense. And the other person, whoever he was playing, smashes the ball, right? Getting a ball off a smash is super hard. But Monfils tried. And he jumps way up high, almost jumping into the lines person. does not get the ball, lands awkwardly, gets injured, and has to retire. It leaves the court on a wheelchair. Like, why? But that was him. Like, it just, he could never. Yeah, he wasn't crazy about, like, to bring in. I'm sure you guys talked about Fonseca earlier at some point in the tournament. That's a guy who you can see has his eyes on being the best, and he's probably going to be. He has that drive. I don't think Gael Monfils ever really thought about his tennis career like that. I think, Anthony, like you said, he was really good at it. He had fun playing it, but I don't think he was losing sleep about not being great, not winning a slam, not being number one. He was always, I would say, appreciative of these gifts that allowed him to have this life, which is, pretty sweet life. So I think I saw that he made over 20 million in his career. And again, he never won a Masters. He never won anything bigger than a 500. He only won 3 of those anyway. So, kudos to him. Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
I remember being frustrated with him. Many tennis player fans were frustrated with him for years. But I think all of us have come around to, like, you can't change the guy. And he's great. He's awesome. He brings a smile to people's faces. Kids used to go crazy over him when he was, more of a regular feature. But yeah, Lamonf, we'll miss him when he's gone.
As cool as it would have been for him to win the French Open in his home country, I think that the French have pretty much adopted Rafa Nadal as the favorite son in France for winning all those French Opens himself. Rachel, what are your thoughts on Gael's career?
I mean, his name's sort of always been floating around for the past however many years, 10 plus. So, to be in what round of the tournament is it? Like 4th round?
Yeah.
Quarterfinals? Yeah. 4th round of the Australian Open at 38. It's a big achievement. And obviously he won in, was it Auckland? He won the 250.
This year.
Yeah.
This week, yeah, literally just. Which is, a great achievement for him. And then coming in to face Ben Shelton, it was always going to be such an intense match for him. I think he's won past his last 8 matches since the start of Auckland. So, his body's got to be hurting. Shelton's such a big hitter. He's intense. He's athletic. It was a great match, but I don't think his body was up to it, and that resulted in him retiring, unfortunately.
I want to get into another player. We're going to go back to the women's side here, and I want to get into Madison Keys. Could this be her chance here? Now, she came off beating number 6, Elena Rybakina, and now she'll be playing Gael Monfils' wife, Elena Svitolina. So I wanted to get your guys' take on this for her. Could this be her chance to finally win a slam here? And this kind of goes with both of them, right? Elena Svitolina and Madison Keys are kind of in the same position here. Which one of these has the better chance at winning a Grand Slam? We'll start with you, Rachel.
I mean, ever since she took out Danielle Collins, she's, headed up my list in, favorites to win. That being said, I don't think, it's hard to predict, but I don't think she could take out Sabalenka. I think it will be tough. It's really hard to say, honestly. I don't think I'd be able to predict it, but I think that if she got to the final against Sabalenka, I don't think she'd win.
We don't even know if she could get past Iga Swiatek if she'll have to play either
Yeah.
her or Emma Navarro in the next round there. So it's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough here. Juan Jose, how about you? What are your thoughts on Madison Keys as well as Alina Svitolina and which one of them may have an opportunity to win a slam in their career?
I think with the WTA, you can never tell. Nothing is ever final. Someone might pull something out of a hat. I don't think it's happening for either of them at this slam because, like Rachel said, I mean, the problem is, I think their chance would be in one of those slams where the top players have crazy upsets and you have some newcomers that are popping out, but also you're not even sure if they're that good or one of those situations. But I just see Sabalenka still in the draw. If it's not Sabalenka, it's Coco Gauff. And Swiatek is there. I don't see either Keys or Svitolina doing it this year. I mean, Svitolina has the thing where she's, obviously playing for something greater than herself, which is kind of different from her husband because Svitolina has been carrying, the heaviness of the Ukraine war with her. But I think, I would be surprised if either of them win a slam. I was, before we started, it's shocking to me that Madison Keys is 29 because I was telling you guys that my first big high profile interview was with her for a profile for the Rolling Stone website. And she was, back then at 19, I remember calling her kind of the LeBron James of prospects because you couldn't miss. She plays so big. She's so skilled. But, a lot has happened. And here she is at 29, and she hasn't made one slam final. She's made a few semifinals too. But she would also need some help because I don't think that in a big stakes match against one of the apex predators like Swiatek or Sabalenka or even Coco, I don't think she can do it. And, based on her game, right? We all seen Madison, her game. Like when I think of her game, I remember the story that she told me back then, which I think she told afterwards. But back then, I don't think anybody had heard it. That the way she started playing tennis was she watched TV. She watching, I think, at Wimbledon, and she saw Venus Williams, and she loved the dress, and she wanted the dress. And then instead of going on a tennis court to play tennis, what she loved to do was go to this vacant lot, I think, next to her grandparents' house, and just smack the ball as hard as possible, kind of like baseball style. And she would hit it, and it would be like home run. And she has the power. I remember. I wonder if you guys remember back in the days where they used to track the speed of shots, and Madison was hitting the ball harder than the men. It was just brutal amount of pace. Problem is getting it to land in. Problem was Madison, for me, was always the I don't know if she's changed her mind on this, but she was the queen of the ill-advised backhand down the line, because that's a hard shot for anybody, because it's changing the direction of the ball. It's over the highest part of the net. And backhand is her weak shot. And Madison would just go for these backhand down the lines that were just never there. She was off position, off the wrong shot, and they would never work. So shot selection would be a problem. She's someone who struggled to be a good defender, trying to get defense into offense. And those are the things that, sadly, Iga and Coco and Arena do so well. Like, I think kudos to her for knocking out Rybakina. But Rybakina is, in a sense, kind of a better version of her. It's like the similar kind of player. Lots of power, not amazing mobility. But, that's where, in those cases, you can get hot and get the win. But when you're matching up with Iga, who can match your power and defend, that's when it becomes problematic. Or with Sabalenka, who has more power and will defend some, but will just attack you off both wings. And Coco can pull a Sloane and get everything back for her. So yeah. Long story short, I'm happy Madison has made it this far. Huge kudos for taking out Rybakina. She's probably going to beat Svitolina. I don't know what you guys think, but I think she would be favored in that match.
I agree. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. She made it to the finals of the U.S. Open in 2017, which you mentioned. She lost to Sloane Stephens. That might have been, her biggest opportunity with now the juggernauts that are a part of you. Coco Gauff, you talked about. I mean, you have Sabalenka and Swiatek, and up and comers like Emma Navarro coming to be a part of the play now as well. So she's got a lot of work ahead of her. If she stays on task, I'm pretty sure that she can definitely challenge these and make it, at the very least, make it hard for some of these top players to make it to the finals, and that would be a big thing for her. Now we have a clip here, and this was from a press conference about her missing chances, and she wasn't too keen of the question. So we have that clip if we could play that. Summer of 2024 in Strasbourg.
For the victory and welcome back to the.
He's a very good play well.
Last question, John.
The Grand Slam goal to win one maybe one day, is that something that you think about? Do you think about some of the near misses? Can you move on from losses such as the one you had against Sabalenka last year? Are they easy to move on from, or are you still thinking about them?
Well, I'm thinking about them now.
Yeah, I think so.
They probably keep you up more than they do me.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, you could tell right there she clearly wears that on her sleeve, and
that
maybe
Sabalenka one was tough. Anybody who
Yeah.
watched that match, she was in tears afterwards, and it was the classic match of I gave it everything, and it wasn't good enough. And I think those are just so painful for elite athletes, because these are people who were for years the best. And then they get to the pro level and they're not the best anymore. But then when they get the chance, when they perform at the level that she performed that day, oh my God. And it was brutal. And I think, she probably wouldn't have beaten Coco in the final either. But oh my God, that match. But I didn't come out of that match thinking that she blew it. I came out of that match thinking, man, she gave it everything. Sabalenka did not play her best match. She kind of found a way through. But,
is that when she was struggling with her serve? There was a time where Sabalenka was really struggling with her serve.
I think this was after, I think. This is the year that Sabalenka blew the final, because she should have won the final and just got it in her own way. No, Sabalenka played it. That was a great match. That was a fantastic, fantastic match. If anybody out there, and how well Madison was playing, she bageled Sabalenka in the first set. The next two were tiebreakers, but the first set was unbelievable. Madison Keys tennis, just not missing anything, just blasting the ball. It was awesome. Like, poor Madison. The funny thing is, I see her now responding to John in that clip, and she kind of reminds me when I talked to her about it, when I talked to her, way back when she hadn't had any of these scarring losses or this idea of expectations. Because actually, I pulled back that Rolling Stone piece that I wrote, and I forgot about this, but that year, I think the year before, Madison had played Serena in Australian Open semifinal and lost. And Serena, after the post-match, in the encore interview, I think, she said, "It was an honor for me to play someone who will be number one in the future." That's what a lot of us thought, that Madison was the future. And it hasn't happened that way. And I think, for me personally, she was a big lesson in, when you evaluate a young player, you get wowed by the strengths. You also get wowed by when they're playing well. And, everyone at their best looks amazing and like they would be an all-time great. The question is, how will the weaknesses improve gradually? Will they ever improve? And are there things, or basically what I realize is not everybody has the capacity to improve. Even if you're as hyper talented as Madison Keys, there's just some things that no matter how hard you work, and she's a hard worker, it hasn't been for lack of effort. You just can't. I mean, to me, what I always think about is Andy Murray's second serve. Everyone always knew that second serve was a mess. It was soft. It was spinny. Rarely had any depth. And, everybody's thinking, improve your second serve. Well, obviously he knows. Everyone knows. Everyone can tell him. But, it's a question of who can. I think sometimes as fans and people who are around the sport, we take improvement for granted. I think actually with Fonseca, that'll be interesting to see, because you can see physically super talented. He can do all sorts of things. There are some things that need to improve. Will they? I don't know. Because with Madison, I was very bullish. I really thought, I remember pushing for Rolling Stone to let me write about her, because I thought, yeah, she's going to be the future of American tennis. And turns out that she's had an awesome career, like pretty great. But if you think of that quote from Serena Williams herself, kind of like Gael, it has not transpired like that. But the good news for her is that, Gael's 38. Madison's 29. She still has, 29 for a tennis player in the olden days used to be close to death. But these days, 29 is, you can just start. Stan Wawrinka started his thing as 28. So you never know.
Well, she gets ready to take on Alina Svitolina tomorrow in their quarterfinal match, but we are here for tonight, and it's a big night of tennis in the start of the quarterfinals, and we cannot talk about there's 4 matches, and we cannot start without talking about the big one, Carlos Alcaraz versus Novak Djokovic. They'll be a part of the night session in Australia, head-to-head. Novak has the lead in their 7 matches, 4-3. A big thing that I took away from this, and I know they faced each other as well in the Olympics, but looking at their time facing each other on the hard court, Novak has, I think, 2 wins in their 2 encounters on hard court. So take that into account when these two face off against each other. I'm going to split this up. So Rachel, we'll start out with you. You let me know who side you want to take. What is it going to take for this person? You pick. What is it going to take for this person to win? You choose. Is it Djokovic or Alcaraz for you?
It's such a tough one, because if they're both, Djokovic has won 100 million Grand Slams, and Carlos has 100 million more to come for him. So it's really close. I'm gonna take Alcaraz though on this one.
Juan Jose, how about you?
I mean, it's gonna be a fun one, because, like you said, the hard court. You think of head-to-heads, and you think of they give you some idea, but I feel like with these two, it's more about the occasion and how they arrive to it physically. The thing I can't get out of my head is that the last time they played, it was a 2-set match that lasted 3 hours. And yes, it was on clay, but anybody who watched that match saw the violence with which they played. And I don't know that even that day, Djokovic had enough in the tank to go an extra set if needed, which is kind of scary given that he'll have to win 3 to win today, or, later, here it'll be tomorrow. I think what I've liked from Djokovic so far is that his fire is definitely burning. I I don't think it'll be one of those. I mean, nothing will be like the Olympics in the sense that, this is it. This is the one chance you get. It's the final. It's his final chance at the Olympics. It was a huge occasion, and he somehow managed to summon things like even a movie kind of situation. It's like last chance, and he did. He was good enough to beat Alcaraz. The question is, he's going to need that level of intensity tonight, and it's mental and it's also physical. The physical part is the one that I wonder because he's 37 years old. I mean, he could be Alcaraz's dad at this point. And in the past, he's kind of had a similar. The Australian Open obviously has been his most successful. He's kind of grown into the tournament, grown physically. I don't know how well he can do that anymore. Like last year, I thought I had kind of the same questions, and then in the semis, he was just not there against Sinner. I don't mean like he didn't show up. I just mean like it was kind of like against Alcaraz at Wimbledon this year. You could just tell that the intensity and the physicality were just not there. And
US
it was
Open
pretty
too.
straightforward in both cases.
In the US Open too as well.
Yeah, and it's one of those where I think you kind of know with him. I think Petkovic was saying something in one of the matches that you can tell with Djokovic if he has it early on. And in the past, obviously, he's done so well because he's managed to win when he hasn't had it. I mean, his legendary, I'm probably the only person who brings it up, but he did win a match at this event where he hit 100 on forced errors. 100. And he won against Gilles Simon back in the day. But I don't think, his margin of error is narrow against someone like Alcaraz, who's already an all-time great. If he retires tomorrow, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Who's so physically imposing, who's going to push him to the brink. I don't know. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Also, how Alcaraz sees this. Because it's becoming his career early on everything was kind of a free hit. He was so young, so new, so exciting. Now he's starting to have to deal with tough losses like the Olympics, where he was in tears after that. Just like Djokovic was in tears when he lost to Nadal at the 2008 Olympics. This is something that great players have to go through. And you wonder, does the scar tissue from that Olympics, does that have any implications on today? And Alcaraz now is actually starting to go for history. Like his whole run here is he'll be the youngest, I think, by quite a bit to complete the career slam. This is the one that he's missing. And with tennis, you just never know. Nothing is given. Nothing is a given. Like when Andy Murray finished 2016 as a number one, you thought, man, this next decade is going to be, or these next 5 years are going to be Murray and Djokovic just going at it. And then Andy Murray gets hurt. And that's basically it. So, I can't wait. It's going to be so fun. It has the potential of being one of those like legendary Australian Open matches that, my favorite will always be Nadal Verdasco from the 2009 semifinals. If anybody has not watched that match, go watch that match. It is an unbelievable exhibition of everything about the sport that you love. It is very long, so save some 5 hours for it. It could be great. I don't expect a flop. I don't expect a beatdown. I think the intensity that Djokovic has shown, the determination, especially in his last two matches, of getting there without dropping a set, of just being very animated, furious at hecklers, at Mashak hitting lines or Lehechka hitting lines, or those are the things that tell me, hey, there's yes, great job on the photo. Yeah, that Nadal Verdasco, I will tell it to my grandkids. Watching that match was unbelievable. To me, it's the best tennis match I've ever seen. So everybody go watch it. I think the Australian Open put it on YouTube, so go enjoy it. It was incredible. Doesn't matter if you don't like Nadal or Verdasco. Verdasco was never I never really enjoyed Fernando Verdasco, but that was amazing. Yeah, I expect a battle. I think Alcaraz obviously can afford to go down, go behind early. I don't think Djokovic can afford to drop the first set. I mean, he has to build a lead. He can't. He already did it against Alcaraz at Wimbledon that first time. He should have been up 2-0, and he didn't, and he paid the price. But I think here it would be more painful because of just the physicality of this event, the heat, the hard court, and they're going to they're going to crash the ball. I don't think Djokovic knows, like he proved at the Olympics, that if he has any chance against Alcaraz at this stage of his career, he really has to be extremely proactive and just take everything early, every shot early, which is something that is super easy to say and extremely difficult to do. So I think he'll come out guns blazing. That first set will be fascinating. If it's one of those that takes an hour and a half, it'll be huge to see, who has the gas to keep going. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. It's what, about
it's a couple hours
away. Yeah. We still, those of us here in the Western Hemisphere, still have time to have dinner, maybe even take a nap and wake up at probably it's going to be like 3-4 in the morning here. But I mean, that's the Australian Open for the Western Hemisphere. You just wake up at insane hours. And I remember watching ones, the Nadal Verdasco that I think ended 8 or 9 in the morning. It was 5 hours long. And then those insane Djokovic Wawrinka matches of yesteryear, the one where Stan pushed Djokovic to like deep in the fifth set and Djokovic won, and then the one that Stan won. I remember starting at 2 in the morning, and then people were waking up in my house, and I was still watching this match. And that's a special thing that this event has, that those night sessions have produced some pretty awesome tennis through the years. So can't wait. Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I had Alcaraz winning the entire thing. So if I don't go with him for this match,
yeah, you have to.
Right? I'm definitely going to have to, for sure, go with Alcaraz. I'm going to get to some of the comments as well. They have their picks in. You see it on the screen here. You can catch Alcaraz versus Djokovic, the watch along later tonight. So you can check that out and be along with Talking Tennis throughout the whole thing. One of my favorite all-time matchups at the Australian Open was definitely recently Medvedev versus Nadal in the final, where Nadal came back from 2 sets down. That was an insane match that I got to watch. But some of the comments here, Kren Boogie saying Djokovic in 4. ATX Super Dave has Alcaraz Mataz winning this matchup as well. Ghost has Alcaraz in 5. And this is going to be, I think people are split on this, and it's always going to be like that until, Djokovic, I guess, retires, because he's still got it in him. But we also got some other matchups that I want to get to as well. The other men's quarterfinal match, Tommy Paul, number 12, against Alexander Zverev, Sasha Zverev as well. You want to call him that? Head-to-head, Tommy Paul 2-0 against Zverev. 2020 and 2022, their matchups there. I could see this match, possibly being some type of an upset out of all the matches that are on the list here. I think Tommy Paul has a good opportunity as well. And it's funny that we've talked about players that have had a hard time that had a hard time getting to a finals and winning a finals, and Madison Keys, Guillaume Monfils as well. Sasha Zverev is also on that. He's been to a final, but he's also lost them. So, he's still looking for his first as well. Rachel, for you, what are you looking forward to in this match, and who do you have winning it?
I mean, they're both playing really well right now. It seems the only player who can defeat Zverev at the moment is Taylor Fritz, who of course is out. So we'll see if Tommy Paul can take the reins. If Zverev won, I was just looking at the comments here. Who would Zverev rather play out of the two? I would love to see a Djokovic Zverev, to be honest, even though I did say I would back Carlos. But I think that'll be a very interesting match. However, I do think Tommy Paul has the power to take this. I think it will go to 4, maybe even 5 sets. It'll be close, but I think if Tommy serves well, Zverev's quite a defensive player when he has to be, but if Tommy can play aggressive tennis and push Zverev off the court, then I think he can take this.
Krem Boogie has Zverev in 3, as well as Terry also has Zverev as well. Juan Jose, who do you have in this matchup here? Do you think there could be an upset?
Tommy Paul is just one of those players that he's just solid. He's good. He's not really bad at anything. I'm surprised at the head-to-head. I think it could be. Yeah, I would favor the upset. With Zverev, it's just, we'll have some of us have issues with him that are not tennis related, but tennis related, his big issue, coming back to the theme of improvement, is that forehand. You just don't know. I don't trust it. I don't think anybody should trust it, but here's the guy. He's ranked 2 in the world. He probably thinks he has a great chance at this, because even though Alcaraz is still in the draw, even though Sinner is in the draw, I don't think Zverev doesn't lose those matches because he's scared of them necessarily. I think he loses those matches because he's a slightly worse player than them. But he's not afraid. He's definitely not afraid of Alcaraz, definitely not afraid of Djokovic. Although it was Zverev who should have beaten Djokovic that year that Djokovic was hurt and played. I thought he was going to lose. I was so shocked that he beat him, that Djokovic beat Zverev. But also Zverev is older. It should be interesting. I think Tommy Paul can ride his Australian uniform that he's been wearing to the semis. And then it would be sad for him if he has to play Djokovic and gets dismantled by him again. That would be sad for him. Because, I remember that semi. It was unfortunate. Poor Tommy Paul, he didn't have a chance.
Terry in the comments is reading my mind, because I feel, and she posted, Zverev is mentally weak. I feel like if you just get into his head real quick, he just seems to unravel and is unable to get himself back going, and that's how he's fallen apart in a lot of these big matchups.
I don't think Zverev is somebody. I would hate to be a gambler putting money on Zverev. That would be. You need to seek some help if you're going to be doing that. In any match, really, he might self-combust, or he might play amazing. Who knows? Lately it's been more amazing than not, but I still think that in those big matches, like you said, in those big moments against the absolute elite, he has this deficiency, like that forehand. He basically has to hope to have a good streak with that forehand for an entire match, or long enough to survive. I don't particularly see it. So Yeah, go. I picked Tommy Paul.
Ghost with probably the comment of the night for me. 80-year-old Monfils and Zverev having applesauce at the retirement village. Monfils surrounded by 15 great-grandchildren. Zverev curled up tight at a fist, just muttering to himself, "Why, TM, why?" Classic. That's a good one. Good comment there. Oh, man. Yeah, look,
Yeah, he
that'll
had
be
it.
that'll be the opener for the day session. But let's switch on over now to the women's singles and the starting match for them that'll start off the day. Coco Gauff, number 3, against Paula Badosa, number 11. Head-to-head, they've had 6 matches. They're 3-3 against each other. Gauff has won the last 2 matches, both this past year. Badosa coming off, she's starting to get stronger coming back from injury. She had a really good U.S. Open, and then she just like fell apart in that final match for herself that knocked her out of the tournament. But she continues to build for herself, and then she's going up against Coco Gauff, who's looking to win another Grand Slam final here. Rachel, who do you like in this match and why?
I'm liking the look of Coco, to be honest. However, I'm also similarly liking the look of Paula Badosa. I thought she'd kind of fallen off a little bit. You didn't see her name much in the second week of majors or slams. Similar to sort of Maria Sakkari. I thought she was on that bandwagon of not really getting to finals anymore. But she sort of bounced back, and now, and honestly, for her sake, I hope she takes this. However, I don't think she will. I think Gauff is just too strong for her right now. Unfortunate for her.
Juan Jose, because we obviously Coco Gauff, number 3, she's favored in this. What does Paula Badosa have to do to kind of get this win here? And, I guess it would even solidify her even more as this up-and-coming player to take it to the next level. What does she have to do to beat Coco Gauff?
I think there is a roadmap for her. I think first is surviving the conditions, right? Because with Bencic in the last match with Coco, you could just see that Bencic understandably just went down a cliff after the first set. And Coco was ready to play 5 more sets if she wanted. Survive the physicality, yes. But I would say the big thing is with Coco, as always, make her doubt that forehand. Just make her test that forehand, make her hit tough forehands from all sorts of places, put that forehand under pressure, and see if it has a knock-on effect. See if it starts destabilizing her serve all of a sudden. Just ask the questions. I don't think Badosa should leave that match satisfied if Coco just was able to beat her with the backhand, or if Coco was able to hit easy forehands. I don't think her goal should be not to give Coco a single easy forehand. She's going to hit a forehand, it has to be hard. And also, with Coco being such an insane mover, and I was really impressed how she was hitting off the run. Just not only defending, bringing stuff back, just counterpunching. Just staying with her, staying with the physicality, staying with her in those moments, and seeing if that forehand cracks. Because, it's a similar deal like Zverev, but Coco's is a. I trust Coco more as a competitor than I do Zverev. But
is it because she has a slam in her? Is it because she has a slam already? Because someone had asked that if Zverev got a slam, that maybe the mental quirks would go away. Does that work in Coco Gauff's favor right now?
That's a great question. I think it definitely helps her that she's done it, and that she, that slam run it's one of those that for me I remember watching the whole thing, it didn't really erase my questions about her or about her forehand. And it actually was impressive to me that she managed to win it, because I don't think she played particularly well throughout, but she found ways. In that final, I still think Sabalenka blew that one.
Yeah.
But Coco managed to find a way and just fight and just stay with it. The one thing I did notice with Bencic is when her forehand was starting to go, you could see it in her face that she was thinking, like, oh no, because the margin of error had shrunk because she had lost that first set. But once Bencic, declined, you could sense that Coco knew this was her thing. I feel like, yeah, I think Coco has done a better job than Zverev in terms of embracing the expectations, which have been higher on her than on Zverev, obviously. But also, she's out there to look for them. With Zverev, I'm not convinced that he's, on the spectrum of being a competitive crazy person. We have Monfils on the very end of being like super happy and, not too troubled. And then you have people like, the Djokovic's of the world, who is a maniac. And that's why he's achieved as much as he has, because he can be up 2 sets in a break and he misses a forehand and he's going to be mad. I think Coco is closer to the Djokovic spectrum of just being zeroed in on the goal while still trying to remain a sane person, which I admire. With Zverev, I don't know. I think it just strikes me like kind of like a spoiled kid, right? Because he was good at this and should win and sometimes fights, but if things don't go his way, maybe not. I don't know. And I think even, let's say he had won that slam against TM. That was a weird US Open. I mean, that was that was the one that Djokovic got defaulted out of. So I don't know. I honestly don't think it would have made that much of a difference for him.
That was 2020, correct?
That was a pandemic year, yeah.
Yeah.
I still laugh that, Djokovic gets defaulted even though there was electronic line calling, but not on Ash. Not on Ash. It was purely because they wanted to have the uniforms out, which is just classic tennis. So funny. But, yeah, that was a pandemic year. No, I think Coco is on a heater. She's barely lost for a while. Yeah, different players.
Well, you see the matchup here, the 6, they're 3-3 against each other. In this tournament right now, they're 4 matches, each. Only one for both Badosa and Gauff have went to 3 sets. Each of them have been two sets and out.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a great job during this entire tournament, and they'll be matching up here. Cleffa168 says, they both played last year in Rome and Beijing. Both went to 3, with Badosa winning the first set, but losing. She needs to win in straights, or else Coco just has more gas in the tank. And that just may be correct here when it comes down to these two. We got one more matchup. That'll be for the women, and it's the number 1 seed, Sabalenka, against Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. And that will be a part of the night session in 3 matches. Anastasia actually has the lead here. 2-1 in their 3 matches, and their last match though was in 2021, and we've already talked about the yips that Sabalenka has had closer to the beginning part of her career, and it's kind of really now nailed that down where she's US Open champion, won 2 times at the Australian Open, looking for that 3-peat. Rachel, who do you have winning this match and why?
I mean, it's got to be Sabalenka. You can't really doubt it. Pavlyuchenkova takes the win. I'll be Pavs. There we go, Pavs. If she takes the win, I think it will shock quite a few people. Yeah, I've got Sabalenka to win in straight sets most of the way.
I think it's safe to say that if Anastasia wins this match, Pavs, let's put it that way. If Pavs wins this match, it's probably because Sabalenka blew it herself. It's safe to say, right, Jose?
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at the head-to-head images. I mean, that's this match. That
It looks like
hilarious.
a selfie. No,
It looks like it came from Instagram, but yeah, that's an Instagram photo. What is that? Pabs has been amazing. I mean, she's been around for so long, so hilarious. She's a fun player to watch because few people hit the ball cleaner than her. She can do anything on the court in a good and a bad way. I think it would be an enormous shock if she manages. I mean, despite the head-to-head. Here you have Sabalenka, who's you could say in her prime, slam winning, good enough to win slams, good enough to dominate the tour. And Pabs is in a way kind of like Monfils, because Pabs, I was listening to the tennis podcast, and I think they said that she won 3 junior majors. So she was supposed to be elite. And she's had a nice career, but no one would ever say that, Pavs was one of the great players of her era. But here she is. And hopefully she can stay with Sabalenka for a bit. I think having beaten her in the past will give her some confidence, but I mean, yeah, this would be like a enormous shock if Pabs manages to get this one.
Well, that there you have it. We went through all the matches. We previewed them all for you tonight. I think we're about an hour in, and I think Coco Gauff and Paul Badosa should have gotten started here. But make sure that, and you see it up there, make sure you're following Talking Tennis and all of their upcoming streams, interviews with Amy Lundy, Coach Mert Tunga, Hall of Fame tennis journalist Steve Flink, and there's going to be previews throughout the whole entire tournament of the Australian Open and the watch-alongs. You see it right there. You have Alcaraz and Djokovic. You'll have Zverev and Paul, as well as Sabalenka and Pavs. So make sure you check that out. Before we wrap up, Rachel, as always, give us your social media and what you got coming up.
Yeah, so my Twitter is RachJJourno. I also have a website, which is linked in the bio there. So go and check those out. Features, articles, interviews, anything and everything.
Same for you, Juan Jose.
I mean, my Twitter handle is, you see it there, JJVHLLEJOA. It's part of my last name. And I'll be there. Definitely I'll be there tonight or later today in the morning, wherever it was, because Alcaraz-Djokovic is one of those that needs to, you stay up for those. Can't miss that.
All right. You can follow me at Ant Rivera 86. I'll be doing some of these previews as much as I can, and it's great to tune in with you all and have a great panel. So make sure you are tuning into Talking Tennis and following Talking Tennis as well for all Australian Open coverage. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining along and being a part of this hour here. For Juan Jose, for myself and Rachel, thank you so much, and enjoy the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready. Play.
I mean, she mentioned on the to Jelena Dokic in the post-match interview about the fight that she's kind of got these days, in terms of she used to be a player who, if she lost the first set, 9 times out of 10 she was losing the match. But these days, I think Jelena Dokic gave her a stat that out of the last 9 three-setters, she's won 8 of them. And that to me shows that Coco Gauff is a different player from maybe 18 months ago, 2 years ago. And I just can't see past Coco Gauff in this one, because I think she looks confident. She's got a swagger. She looks like she belongs at the top of the game. Whereas before it was always just kind of this kid. She's a superstar at a young age, and we want her to be there. But now I feel like she deserves to be there.
Yeah, I really agree with that. It started at the WTA finals, where in the final as well, she came back from a set down to beat Zhang in that final. That was a great match, and she sort of carried that over into this year. And yeah, I mean, again, she went down that set, but it was maybe just a bit concerning for me the way that set, the way she let it slip today. And I think she's going to have to be on it, because obviously Badoza is, I think, a tougher opponent in the way she's playing at the moment. So she won't want to give too many chances like that. I mean, I think obviously Coco Gauff is playing really well at the moment, but maybe there's a little bit more expectation now that she actually should be going on and to the final and maybe winning it from her point of view, and she probably feels that expectation. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, and I think I would still favour Gauff, but maybe I make it more like 60-40 or something like that in her favour, which is I'm giving Badoza some respect there, and I think Gauff just I think she can do it, but she's going to have to be continue that sort of form that we've seen from her.
Yeah. So if I'm pushing you for a prediction, then what I'm taking from what you're saying there, Eddie boy, is you're going Coco Gauff in maybe 3 sets.
3 sets or maybe like a tight 2, but I think I think she will get through, but she's got to show her best tennis, I think so.
Okay. Well, do you know what? Just to keep it interesting, I mean, I know what I've said. In fact, no, I'll go Coco Gauff straight sets. I was about to just go Paolo Badoza for the sake of it, but I thought, I've just contradicted my whole spiel about Coco Gauff being confident.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.